maybe it's evening when you're watching this video. Made a review here for our celebration of knowledge on Friday. So to explain some things, when we do these, the problems that have the box around them, that's what the problem will look like on your test. Obviously, it'll be a little bit smaller, okay? But then the problems that don't have a box around them, that are like this, those are the graphic organizers, as I'm calling them, the math mats that are available in the classroom. And I would suggest you get the math mats to do the problems, okay? I will have available a photocopy of this so you can actually write on it. But that's what we would be doing. So the first question, so like question number 1 on the test would say, what most correctly describes the net of a cube? So a cube, I want the pen size. Let's do this. So a cube would look something like that. That looks more like a rectangular prism, but you get an idea. A cube has 6 sides. And because it is a cube, they are all squares. So if I opened that up, the net would kind of look like this. That's the top, that's the bottom, and those are the 4 sides. Okay? For question number 2, what is the surface area of the rectangular prism below? So this is the problem on the test. And then I've said this down here would be like the math mat that you could get. So this shape is going to have a front and a back. And I'm going to say the front of the shape be like those dimensions, right? So that's 3 by 6 tall. So this area of the front is 18, which means the back is also 18. Now, we have 2 sides. So for instance, if this is the front, and I don't know if this will make it better or worse, and that back there is the back, then this is the side. And the side is 2 centimeters by 6 centimeters. So that's an area of 12 centimeters. And there's 2 of there, because there's one like on right side, and there's one that's like on the left side. Okay, so now they want the top and the bottom. So the bottom is actually shaded in for you. That's the bottom. And the dimensions on the bottom are 3 by 2, which means the top is going to be the same. It's 3 by 2. Okay, so to get the total surface area, we're going to add all of these up. So I have a calculator here. I think I have a calculator. There it is. Okay, so I'm going to add. I'm going to do 18 plus 18 plus 12 plus 12 plus 6 plus 6. And I'm going to get that the surface area is 72. Now the units matter. Centimeters to the 2nd power squared, because when I open this up, it might be a 3D shape, but the 2D, the net is 2D. So surface area is 2-dimensional. Volume is 3-dimensional. But in this case, they're asking for the 2 dimensions. Next problem. So as I've said earlier, let's do it this way. Your test isn't yellow, but this is the question on the test. So the test will just say, what is the surface area of the pyramid below? And there'll be a pyramid. What I'm going to suggest you guys do is you get trained and you go to the back of the room and you get the math mat and you actually do your work on the math mat. So a rectangular prism has 4 sides and a bottom. That's a rectangle. In this case, it happens to be a square pyramid because the bottom is a square. Okay? So the area of that rectangle is 25. Now, each of the sides is a triangle. There are actually 4 sides, 4 triangles, because each triangle sits with the bottom of the triangle along that square. Okay? And so each of these triangles has a base of 5 and a height of 9. So to find the area of a triangle, base times height, area, or it should be big A, sorry, area equals 1/2, base is 5, height is 9, 5 times 9 is 45, and out of the way, 45 divided by 2 is 22.5. So each of these is 22.5. So I'm going to just do it the easy way. I'm going to do 22.5 plus 22.5 plus 22.5 plus 22.5. So far we're at 90, okay? And then I have to add the bottom. So 90 plus 25. So the surface area is 115, and this doesn't have a label, so I'm going to say units to the 2nd power. The other thing you could do when putting these all together is you could say I have 22.5. I have 4 of those, so you could just, in the calculator, do 22.5 times 4, and you get 90. So that's the area of your triangles plus the area of your base. Again, is 115 units squared. So using those math mats that I've created will help. Let's move that out of the way. Okay. Next problem. Which of these rectangular prisms has a surface area of 227.02 square feet? And now they give me 4 choices. Because they've given me 4 choices, I'm going to have to do each of these and figure this out. So I have actually on the next page drawn for you 4 math mats. 1 math mat, 2 math mats, 3 math mats, and 4 math mats. So it's easier when I have the math mat like next to me. I don't have to flip back and forth, but we're going to flip back and forth. So the first one is 5.6, 8.2, and 4.7. So let's try and draw that. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. I'm going to draw. Oops, I think I'm going to draw. Let's. Okay, and I know I'm going back and forth here. 5.6 what? 5.6, 8.2, 4.7. 5.6, 8.2, 4.7. Okay, so it really doesn't matter which one you do as which. So I'm going to say that this is the 5.6 times the 8.2. And there's two of those, right? So 5.6, 8.2. Then I'm going to say the side is the 8.2 tall and the 4.7 wide. Okay? And now I have to think of the top. So this is 5.6. This top is 5.6. Okay, times 4.7. Obviously, I've not drawn this to scale. Two of those. Okay, so I actually have to do all of these problems. So I'm going to do 5.6 times 8.2. That means that this has an area of 45.92, and there's two of them. Okay, the next one, 8.2. 8.2 times 4.7 is 38.54. 38.54. And the last one is 5.6 times 4.7. So, I should have done this up there. Oh, you get the point. Well, we'll make it look better in a minute. So 45.92 plus 45.92 plus 38.54 plus 38.54 plus 26.32 plus making a mess here. I'm going to do the next one, not so messy. So the answer there is 221.56. But I wanted 227.02. So I have to do the next one. So I am going to try and make this look better. And I can help you or give you one to draw. So the model that I have is 6.1, 7.8, and 5.3. 6.1, 7.8, and 5.3. I just want to make sure that was right. 6.1, 7.8, okay. So I'm going to try and make this one if I can, let's make it look better. Let's use this. So okay, and then I'm going to draw some lines there. Okay, I don't know if that helps, if that made it worse, but I'm going to say, so that these match, I'm going to say that this is 6.1. I'm going to say that this side is 5.3. Okay, and then I'm going to say this long side is 7.8. Okay, so I'm going to first say these are these two red rectangles. Okay, and they are each 6.1 by 5.3. Okay, and so when I come over to my calculator, 6.1 times 5.3 is, I want to change the color so it can make sense. 32.33. Each of those. Now, for my side, I'm going to call this, maybe if I color it in, it'll help you see the side. So that's 7.8 inches long. And it's 5.3 inches tall. 41.34. And there's 2 of those. Okay? And now I want the top. So I'm going to color code this. And I'm going to say this all is like the top of the box. So this is 6.1 units down here. This is 6.1 units across the top. And this is 7.8. Okay? So 6.1, if you can read my bad writing, times 7.8 is 47.58. And there are 2 of those. So 32.33 plus 32.33. Now I'm adding up all the sides. Plus 41.34. These are my blue sides. And now I'm adding 47.58. And I get 242.50. That's not the one I wanted. We're going to keep going. So for the next one, I'm going to deal with 5.9, 8.5, and 4.4. So 5.9, I think it was 8.5 and 4.4. Let me double check. 5.9, 8.5, 4.4. So I'm again going to make a box. Okay. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to okay. And then in the back, it's like the little jagged line. Okay. See if that helps. So to make this look like what the numbers I have here, I'm going to say that this is 4.4, which means my longest side, my longest dimension is 8.5, and then this is 5.9. So I'm going to change my pen to red, and I'm going to say that these red triangles are my front and my back. And I'm going to say that those dimensions, I'm going to use the dimensions from the figure 5.9 and 4.4. .96, and I have 2 of those. Okay, now I'm going to do my side, and I'm going to actually just switch over to my highlighter here, and I'm going to say this is the side of my box. And my side has a length of 8.5 and a height of 4.4. Okay? Oh, whoops, let's move that out of the way. Let's move this out of the way. 8.5 times 4.4. 37.4. And there's 2 of those. And now my bottom and my top. So I'm going to say this is the bottom or the top of my box. Okay? Let me use this color. Okay? And these dimensions are 5.9 times 8.5. So I'm going to come back over to my calculator. 5.9 times 8.5, and I get 50.15. And there's 2 of those. 25.9 25.96 plus 25.96. Those were the dimensions of the front and the back. 37.4. 50.15 equals 227.02, and that is what I was trying to find. So I had to do 3 problems to get the answer, but I did get that these all add up to 227.02. And so the answer is C. So yes, it's a lot of work for one question, but it also went through a number of times how to use these maths to help you with the problem. Let's go on to the next one. A child's wading pool is 4.2 feet wide, 6.2 feet long, and 1.3 feet deep. How many gallons of water will the pool hold? Well, first, I have to figure out the volume of the pool. It says find the volume. And then I have to convert the cubic feet to gallons. Because we don't actually buy water in cubic feet. We buy water in gallons. So if I have to hire a company to bring water to fill up my pool, I need to give them that way. So if you use the math mat, as I said, there's a math mat. There's a math mat on finding volume. So for that math mat, you're going to take the volume, and to find the volume, you're going to multiply the length, which is 6.2. It really doesn't matter what order you put these in. The width, which is 4.2. And the depth, which is 1.3. You're going to multiply all of these together. 6.2 times 4.2 times 1.3 equals, my volume is 33.852 cubic feet, which I can write this way. But I need to solve it in gallons. So I then need to go get my other math mat. There is one for solving proportions. And they tell me in the problem that 1 cubic foot is equal to 7.5 gallons. Okay? Over here, I know that when I did the volume, I have 33.852 cubic feet. And I want to know gallons. So I set up the proportion, including the words. What factor are you multiplying by? So I'm going from 1 to 33.852. 1 times some number equals 33.852. Hopefully you can do that in your head, but if not, you can use inverse operations, and you can say 33.852 divided by 1 actually happens to be 33.852. So I am multiplying by 33.852. When dealing with proportions, whatever I do to the bottom, whatever I do to the top, I do to the bottom. So I'm going to go 7.5 times 33.852 is 253.89 gallons. If I asked you to round it to the 10th, it's 253.9. Rounded If I asked you to round it to a whole, it would round to 254 rounded to the nearest whole. So for instance, if you're buying, and sometimes people do, they fill up pools by having companies come and deliver water, especially if you like go to night in the country or something. So in that case, you can't get 253.9 gallons. You have to order 254, and some of it's going to spill out. Okay? But that's an idea of how you do the problem and how you use the math mat. Let's go on to the next one. One ring in the Stonehenge monument was originally made of 30 stones, each about 6.5 feet wide. So the stone is about 6.5 feet wide. 3 feet, I don't know what that says. I think that should say 3 feet long. And 13 feet tall. And then it's only 3 feet long. Okay, so that's kind of what the stone looks like, okay? What is the volume of the 17 stones? So this is the volume each. Each means 1. So let's first find the volume of that. We're just going to multiply those 3 numbers, which is 6.5 times 3 times 13, and I'm going to get 253.5. So I think somebody's at my door. So that is 253.5 cubic feet. But there are 17 stones that I need to find. So I'm going to take that 253.5 cubic feet. I'm going to multiply it by 17, and I'm going to get 4,309.5 feet cubed. Remember, the cube is just part of the unit. You're not actually multiplying anything to the 3rd power. I have a student who just walked in here, even though I'm making a video. Do you need something? Oh, get that. Are you okay with me recording while you're getting that? Okay, if you pass out, let me know. Okay. Probably should have that when you go to PE, but that's okay. Okay, for our next problem, again, this, just like this, is what it's going to look like on your test. The volume of a cube is 512 units. It's a cube. A cube means all dimensions are the same. All the dimensions are the same. So a cube is going to have dimensions of like 1 times 1 times 1. Length, width, height, all the same. 2 times 2 times 2. Okay? 3 times 3 times 3. I'm going to give you a hint. Just keep doing these till you get the answer. So for instance, 1 times 1 times 1 is a volume of 1. 2 times 2 times 2 is a volume of 8. 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. You might decide to jump around a little bit. Okay? You might say, oh, well, let me try 10 times 10 times 10. Oh, that's 1,000. That's too big. Let me try, I don't know, 7 times 7 times 7. 7 times 7 times 7 is 343. Okay, let me try 8 times 8 times 8. 512. So the volume of the cube is 512 units, and that should say cubed. So that means the dimensions are 8 by 8 by 8. It's a cube. All the dimensions are the same. Okay? I'm going to erase those. Okay. Next one, Beth has a wooden box. The inside of the box is 6.2 inches wide, 4.75 inches long, and 3.25 inches deep. But the box has no top. Not top, has no top. Obviously, I can't spell. So here's the bottom of the box, right? And then it has sides. Okay, so it looks like that, but it's just open. Okay, so it's 6.2 inches wide by 4.75 inches long by 3.25 inches deep. Okay, so while it has a bottom of 6.2 times 4.75, it has no top. It's open. Okay, so that's 29.45. Don't do a top. It doesn't have one. But it does have, oh, I wanted a different color. What did I do there? It does have a front and a back. And the front and the back are 6.2 by 3.25. Okay. Okay, so the front and the back are each 20.15 inches. Okay, and then there are sides. And the sides are also 3.25 tall, but they are 4.75 times 3.25 is, oh, that's a bad number. Let me write it over here. 15.4375. So there's two of those. There's a 15.4375. There's another 15.4375. There's a front and a back, each of 20.15. And there's a bottom of 29.45, but not a top. Gives me how many square inches of felt will she need? She will need 100.565, or approximately 101, because you can't buy a part. Might not be able to buy it 565 thousandths. So about 101 inches squared, because it's surface area. I know, it just keeps going. There's a lot here. Let's see how many more pages. Oh, just these two. The rectangular prism below has a volume of 119 meters. Write an equation that could be used to find the length of the prism, and then find the length. So this one, or this one, you need the math match that says finding dimensions given volume. You are given the volume. You want to find either a missing length, width, or height. So the volume is 119. The length is what we're finding. The width is 3.5, which is 3.5. The height is 8. Okay, now we need to solve the equation. So 3.5 times 8, I can multiply those as 28. So 119. But remember, we don't write algebra like that, right? We do 28L. So you are saying 28 times some number, which we're calling L, is 119. You need to use inverse operations. You need to divide. So in your calculator, think about it this way. 119 divided by 28 is 4.25. And though it's not drawn to scale, the length is 4.25 meters. That's how you use the math mat to help you with the problem. Last one, draw a net for the rectangular prism below and label the dimensions, okay? So if I'm drawing this net, I'm going to draw it nice and neat. Okay, it's a little confusing. That 5 should be like down there. Okay, so this is 13.5. And that's 18.5. And then the next side, so there's, right, is 5 by 18.5. And then the next side matches the first one. And off of one of these, the top and the bottom, I would just do it here. That's 5 by 13.5. So that's your net. Okay, let's use our math mat. So the front, that's the front. There's 13.5 times 18.5. And there are 2 of those. $249. And there's 2 of those. Okay. Now, let's go to the side. And the side is 5 centimeters, again by 18.5. $92.5. There are 2 of those. And then we have the top and the bottom. And the top, if this is 13.5, then this is 13.5. And if this is 5, then that's 5. And there are 2 of those. So 249.75 plus 249.75 plus 18.5. Oops, I did that wrong. Let's try this again. 249.75 plus 92.5 plus 92.5 plus 67.5 plus 67.5 equals 819. Right, is the surface area, and that's in units squared. I just realized I skipped the volume because the volume is much easier. I'm just going to multiply those 3 numbers. 13.5 is 5 times 18.5, and I get the volume is 1,248.75 units, and in this case the units are centimeters cubed. Okay, I know it's a long video. I know it took a lot of time, But if you go through these and you also use the math mats, you will be able to do the problems.